could we start just actually by me asking you to tell me your name and what you do?
I'm Amber Morris. I'm a CMM inspector at Mercedes-AMG Petronas Motorsport.
Okay, so I'll let everybody in on a little secret. I had no idea what a CMM inspector is. So I'm guessing I'm not the only one in the world. So could you tell us what that actually means?
It stands for Coordinate Measuring Machine. So when we have a part, we've got a probe which takes light touches on top of the surface so not to damage it. And then, because it's all computer generated, it can put all the coordinates on the machine into a computer program, and then you can dimension everything from the coordinates that the computer has generated.
Was it something you always wanted to do, work within F1, or was it something that developed and emerged?
I think it was probably something that developed and emerged as I was growing up, because I mean, my dad's a big car person, so I kind of grew up around going to races and watching the races on TV, and then going to Goodwood every now and then. So I kind of grew up with it, and it just kind of developed from there, I think.
Love that. And at what point did you decide that going to Silverstone was the right option for you in the education environment?
Well, it kind of all happened at the same time, like everything just coincidentally kind of merged together. So I was in my GCSE year, and I was always kind of strongest in maths and physics and the more kind of mathematical subjects. And then there was an assembly about these UTC schools that were opening up, like September of that year that I was leaving. And they were like, oh, there's one at Silverstone, which is all based on maths and physics and engineering. And I was like, this has all happened at the perfect time. And it was like, all right, I'm gonna go see what this is all about.
Your dad must have been delighted, I would imagine.
Yeah, to know that I kind of wanted to go into F1. Yeah, he was very proud.
And that it all kind of, as you say, worked out with the timing of exactly when you were looking to leave and finish your GCSEs to go to A-level, and for the whole place to be opening at the same time as well. So just tell me, what was it like studying there?
It was very different compared to what I was used to. I was used to the normal kind of 9 to 3 school hours and having to get the bus with all my friends from primary schools and stuff. So it was kind of a comfortable environment there. But then UTC was a good change, because it kind of made you have to grow up a bit more, because you had to get used to 9 to 5. So a normal kind of hourly working day, with all your subjects on top of that, and didn't know many people there, and the journey time was an hour instead of 15 minutes. So it was a lot of it was spent at that school, so I did have to adapt. But I think it all turned out for the best. I think it's kind of formed me into kind of who I am as well, like more kind of grown up.
And to sort of try and specialise at that point, I mean, we all have to, if you're going to go on and do A-levels, you have to pick which A-levels you're going to do. So did it feel much different to your school friends who stayed on at a traditional school?
I think it was probably, in terms of the lessons, it was probably a bit different, because theirs was kind of just the general subjects, whereas ours was kind of more directioned into engineering side of everything. So we even had one of the A-levels I did was an engineering A-level, which wasn't even an option at my old school. So it definitely kind of led you in the right direction if you definitely knew that's what you wanted to do. It definitely had the right sort of subjects to take you in that direction.
And I hate to always talk about it, because people know when they talk to me, I'll always bring up the females in motorsport. But there couldn't have been a huge number of females on your course.
No, I mean, our year wasn't huge to start with, because it was the very first year it had opened. But on my course, there was only four females on my course. And I think there was about 30 males, I think.
Wow. Okay, so that puts it into context that you were actually doing something a little bit out of the norm. But did you ever feel, oh, I've gone in a direction that actually isn't so usual for females?
It didn't feel that way at all. I mean, it was all, there wasn't any sort of like female male segregation at the UTC or anything. Everyone was getting along with each other. it was actually quite a nice environment. You didn't get any sort of prejudice or anything.
And tell me about your first placement, because clearly placements at UTC are a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, luckily as well, another coincidence, well, not coincidence as such, but perfect timing was that Mercedes was offering a week's work experience to a student at the UTC, and luckily I got chosen for it. So that's how I ended up kind of worming my way into the minds of people that already worked here and making myself known.
And I bet you worked your socks off that week.
Yes, and then the weeks I did after that, I kept sending email after email asking to come back at every holiday I could. So.
And what do you remember of that work experience? What was the first thing that you were able to actually get your hands on or do?
Well, I was put into car build the first week, so I was already kind of straight hands-on with putting my hands on the parts and getting kind of familiar as to how the departments operate and what it is they do on a day-to-day basis. But it was all a lot to take in, because suddenly kind of being from school to being in somewhere where you really wanted to be, it was kind of like mind-blowing as well. So.
And your teachers must have been incredibly proud of you at that step, but then obviously you went on, you succeeded. What grades did you get? I haven't asked that question to anybody in years.
Oh gosh, what were they now? I can't remember.
They must have been quite healthy grades, I'm guessing.
I think they were okay. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head, because it was 6 years ago or something like that. Struggle to remember that sort of thing. I mean, I can't remember my GCSE grades either, but I think they were good enough to get me to where I needed to be.
That's key. So everybody delighted for you at Silverstone. What was the sort of general reaction from people, both within your class and the teaching community?
They were all kind of really happy for me, because they knew we were all trying to get into F1. So to know that one of their friends had gotten there, they were all kind of really supportive of it. Because I had a few friends which got into other teams as well, so we were all kind of very supportive and like helping each other through it all, because we knew, right, you're in the same sort of boat as I am, so we can all support each other kind of going through the very first years of leaving school, really.
And that must have been so important to have those relationships and the friendships where you could kind of feel, okay, they might not be in this team, but we're all supporting each other. And I suppose that's what Silverstone tries to breed in all of you.
Yeah, I mean, I still contact a lot of them, talk to them on a regular basis. So they definitely form those friendships, because the class sizes were a lot smaller. I mean, especially for my year, because we were the first year. So we all became quite good friends because there were so few of us, and a lot of us still talk every now and then, so it's definitely a friendship you can carry on for years afterwards.
So tell me, straight after Silverstone you get your grades, and then what happens? How do you get to where you are now?
Well, kind of applied to a few places kind of as backup options and everything, and then here was one of them. So it was just kind of waiting game to see if I got through to the interview stage, and then if I got the apprenticeship afterwards, because that's what I was applying for, a 2-year apprenticeship in the car build department. So it was just kind of, it was a waiting game for a while, very nerve-wracking waiting game. But once I found out I had it, I did cry, if I'm being honest.
I love that. And what was the reaction at home?
Oh, everyone was jumping for joy.
I love that. It's a very special moment when you find out that you've got a job that you've dreamt of, worked really hard to get, and then all of a sudden it's happening. So what about the future for you? What are your hopes and aspirations?
Oh dear. I think for me it's see how far I can go within the company. I mean, I'm now in my second department to try and challenge myself, so it's not the same every single day. It's kind of mixing things up a bit, keeping things interesting. So I mean, there's that many departments on site, there's like endless opportunities to places you can go to. So I think see where they take me, really.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck with it all. I'm delighted that your journey from Silverstone into, I suppose, Silverstone for real, and then to Mercedes has been one that's kind of kept you busy and challenged you and made you happy.
Yes, yeah.